You use the word reckless though, right? You use the word reckless when you said if he wants to buy drinks and be reckless. Reckless has a negative connotation. So my
Correct.
deductive reasoning says that you do see an issue with it, but whatever he does is what y'all gonna do.
Right. So when we had this conversation, because this we knew what
Mhm.
the questions were going to be to watch the videos before. So I specifically asked him. I was like, "Would you have an issue if I was out with my girls and a random guy just offered to buy me a drink or whatever? Would you have an issue with that?" And he said, "Yeah." And I was like, "Why would you?" And he was like, "Because that means he's expecting something in return, whether it be conversation or whatever, whatever." And I was like, okay. And then my question was, when you've gone out, have you ever bought a chick a drink? Yeah. And I'm like, okay. I said, so why is that any different? And he was like, well, because I set the tone. Like, nothing, if I'm not trying to get with her, blah, blah, blah. So my question was, if you said that if a man buys you a drink, that means he wants something, right? Whether it's conversation or whatever. What tone do you think you're setting, even if you're buying a drink, whether you can control it or not? What message are you sending?
Okay, that's the full context. Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's why for me, I'm saying if that's
No, I
going to be
got
the
it.
tone, then you've set the tone.
I just want to say your husband sets the tone, which means y'all are not
He
partners.
did.
You respect your husband. That's all I gotta say. I love
Say
it.
what?
I love it. You follow your husband. I love it. Y'all are not partners. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, call it what you want.
Marcus.
So MissTaken. I think that's gonna drive you down the road to destruction. Because where do you draw that line at, right? If you if somebody offer you dinner, do you got to take it? Because he bought dinner for somebody at work, or he like it's one of the gender stereotypes that exist for a reason, and it's one of them things you can't just tit for tat and say, back to the polygamy conversation, back to all the conversations. We are different. Men and women are different.
Right.
So you
Women are
can't
And
you
what have
children.
can't lump us in.
Marcus, women
but
are
Marcus,
children.
what have I
They
told
do
you?
what their
This is
parents tell them to do.
right. What's right is right. Is not gender specific. Is not gender specific. So if we're looking at morals, character, anything like that, everybody can agree. If you say this is black, this is black. Everybody agrees to that, right? So I move based on what's right is right. A lot of times when we want to do the whole double standard, it's because we're the one that's benefiting from it and we don't want to give it up. And that's men and women alike. So for me, my thing is we're going to move on what is correct and right. So if you open up the door to move
Which you
funny,
agreed on what's correct and right.
or for me to move funny too. And you can call it petty, but what I call it is a natural consequence. That's what I call it. Because if you
Go ahead,
Consequence.
Marcus.
Oh,
rule of
I'm
thumb would
sorry.
be
Go ahead,
this:
Marcus. Go ahead. Go ahead.
ask yourself, if I did this, if my wife did this or my girlfriend did this, would I have a problem with it? And if the
So
answer is yes, then that
Go
means
ahead,
more than likely she's gonna have a problem with you doing it too. So you
Hold on,
don't
Marcus.
let
do it.
Marcus. Marcus been trying to reply. Go ahead, Marcus.
so in this natural consequence, do you now make everything equal? So if a burglar busts in and he went downstairs the day yesterday, now you go in the next day. Do you switch roles naturally the same way you're trying to make this equivalent?
No,
Like
I was
gender
talking
roles
about moral.
exist.
No, you're switching up the
It's just a
scenario.
question. Just yes or
I
no.
was speaking specifically about
Mhm.
morality, what's right and wrong. What the scenario you gave is totally different. So yes, in that situation, the roles would be totally different. He is the protector. So in that regard, he's carrying out his role. But when you're talking about morality and what's right and wrong, that's not gender specific. That's either black or white, period.
The
Well,
reason I
Marcus.
applied it like that is because protection and provision, right? They typically stated as men's roles. Provision would be purchasing something or giving something. So him operating in that role is this. him
You're
operating in
right.
that role, huh? Him operating in that role would also be the same as him helping a woman that's getting attacked on the street. You would possibly want to see him do that. And you getting under the covering of another man outside of an extreme emergency doesn't make sense. It's going to always lead to a road of destruction, trying to be
Well,
even in that way.
so Marcus, do you agree or disagree with the fact that a man sets a tone, right?
Yes, I agree.
So my thing is, if a man, and I'm not saying that buying a drink is reckless, that's the word that I use, but I'm gonna stick with that. If he is moving reckless, he's setting a reckless tone. A natural consequence is that the household is
She
gonna
moved
also be
reckless.
reckless.
Yeah.
It's gonna be chaotic. So my thing is, if you want a woman or your wife to be respectful, you gotta move in that way. You gotta be respectful. So if you're
So Miss
out buying,
Taken,
if
I
you're buying
want to have
groceries,
your back for a second.
that's not going
Can
to
I,
create peace in
All right,
me.
all right, yeah.
Miss, can
Go
I
ahead.
have your back for a second, Miss Taken? So Marcus,
Yes.
and this is for everybody on the panel and everybody watching. I agree with Miss Taken simply because now she understands why I was against her earlier. The man sets the tone. If I go out and do dumb shit, I always say women are children. She's gonna go out and do dumb shit. Just like a parent with their child, they try to say, do as I say and not as I do. No, if your child sees you doing something in your adult world, they're going to do the same thing in their child world, and then they're going to look at you like you crazy when you try to give them a whooping. So the same thing with a husband. If you out here buying chicks drinks, cheating, or do whatever, your wife is simply going to take the shape of you. Women are like water. They take the shape of the man that they're with.
So
I agree with
when you go, Mr. Lego, when you go out with men and women, who picks up the tab?
I pick up the tab, or either another man at the table picks up the tab.
Why
A
is
woman
that?
can pick up the tab. I don't care. Just I'm not
Mm-mm.
because it's not even about men and women. It's about when people are at a table. It looks ugly when multiple people start digging
Mr.
their
Let
pockets.
Go, Mr. Let Go. But you just said either you or another man takes up the tab because you actually know the rules.
Yeah.
So that you have to agree there that you naturally said it or another man. So you agree that there is a difference between men and women in terms of paying shit for people.
Yes. But Miss Taken did say receiving drinks and men paying. So she did separate it where it's two different sides of it. A woman receiving a drink versus a man paying for a drink. It'd be the topic. So it is somewhat of a difference because she's not buying a man a drink.
Wait, Marcus, the only problem with your example is that you equated one thing that's totally different from another. We're not talking about a
Exactly.
scenario. Hold on. We're not talking about a scenario where we're all out together and you buy drinks around the drinks for the table because we all friends and we all hanging out. The video specifically is speaking to you going up to women in a club if you out kicking it
Yeah.
and you offering women drinks in the club. So that's like, let's keep it within that context because that's what MissTaken is also speaking to as well. She's talking about her man going out to the club and buying women drinks at the club. Because let me ask y'all a question. When was the last time y'all was at the club and y'all started offering women drinks? And what was and for no reason at all other than I just want to go and walk up to this woman and buy her a drink.
I'm trying to smash.
When was the last time y'all did that?
Shit.
I don't buy women drinks.
2 years we had bottle service, so when we couldn't finish all the bottles, we started passing drinks out. But my point was about provision, right? Because that falls under provision. Gender roles and double standards exist. That is part of the thing that falls into the double standard. And by that existing, her trying to equate the two, because you don't know this about MissTaken, but I do. She has a tit for tat mentality when it comes to men and women thing. Like if you say, "Oh, men can have polygamy," why can't women have polygamy?
Like a child?
Men can do this. Why? Like so, that's her response to a lot of stuff. So I don't understand. I don't know if y'all fully know the context of where she's answering this from.
While that may be fair that she has a tit for tat mentality, we're specifically talking about this issue of. And I asked y'all a question. I said, when was the last time y'all went out to the club and you just bought random women drinks for no reason at all?
I've only ever done
it. We all in relationships. Me, you, and Trev. So it's important for y'all two to answer this question. When was the last time y'all just went to the club? Y'all was out kicking it with y'all boys, and you walked up to a group of women and was like, let me buy y'all a drink.
And it's not New Year's.
I mean, see, that depends. I'm not that guy.
Nobody doing that shit though.
So what we understand is that that is not something us as men do when you're in a relationship, is to go out to the club and start buying random women drinks. So when MissTaken is technically right when she says, if you think it's okay for you to go out to the club, because this ain't about provision at this point. Who the hell told you you're supposed to provide for a bunch of women at the club? So when we talking about, so when she says you think it's okay for you to go out to the club and buy random women drinks for no reason at all, then why do you then look at me and say, well, I want to go out to the club and buy random women drinks? And we all know what that comes with. All of us just said we wouldn't want our women to buy to accept drinks, because the only time niggas go to the club and offer women drinks because they want something in return. We just said that we don't go out and do that because we know what that comes with. There's a reason why we don't go out and buy women drinks, because we don't expect shit from them. So why the hell am I buying you a drink? So if her man starts going out and buying women drinks at the club, that means he's like, all right, well, I'm expecting something from her. So she like, okay, well then that means that I can forego the reasons why they may or may not want it, because you told me that they shouldn't, that men don't expect anything, because you said that you don't expect anything. So it's safe for me to assume they don't expect anything either. Now I'm not sitting there saying that I agree with her, but to actually explain her tit for tatness in it, he's setting the tone for doing the goofy shit like buying women's drinks, and she like, well, I'll follow your lead.
And you want to specifically use the word.
But there's a difference.
And I agree.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Reckless behavior. No.
So